So I've done a video on Electrameccanica solos before. These do require a motorcycle license, at least in Arizona. There's a line of people waiting, and then there's electric bikes over there, motorcycles. Harley. There we go. So these are one-seaters. They're super cute. The range, I think, last time I spoke with them, the range was, I think, 100 miles. Probably a little less than that. So these are electric motorcycles, Livewire. Livewire Road Tour. There's a Model Y Performance right there, Tesla. So check these. I think that these are the modified version of on the show Long Road Home. So these are people waiting on test drives. They're signing people up. They've got to have car insurance and a valid, oh, there's a train, and a valid driver's license. There's so much to see and do here, everybody. I'd highly recommend checking this out in the city near you. It is coming to, or maybe it's going to Canada next year, 2023. I know it's going to the UK. Here we go. These are Arcimotos. There we go. Look at these. Look at these. They're such little cuties. And then there's a Model X right there. So you can test drive Teslas, you can test drive Arcimotos, you can test drive Electrameccanicas, and then we're gonna go down to the Aptera Soul. People are just crowding around this thing like crazy. The solar panels on, let's see. The solar panels on the hood, the dash, and on the top, and then on the trunk provide up to 40 extra miles per gallon. Sorry, miles of range on a perfect sunny day. So wheels. I'm gonna pop in front of you. Ooh, I gotta get out of the sunshine. I don't have my hat. Look at that. Here's an electric bike. It's not quiet, it is. Okay, let's go inside, shall we? San Diego is lovely. This is the gas lamp district. Super fun. There's a non-electric bike. They close down the streets on the weekends and they make it walking only, pedestrian only. San Diego's super fun. We're right on the bay. I wish I had more time to spend and just chill. We're gonna walk through the welcome to Fully Charged Live. Bum, bum, ba, da, 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 da. Oh, it feels so good in here. He's wearing a SpaceX shirt. Okay, everybody, here we are. Ryan's talk is at 12:45 on the mega stage. This is Electrify America. This is the I4 BMW.
Hi from San Diego. This is the Fully Charged show.
Yes, love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, awesome. All right, what do you all think of the I4 here? Let me show you the front. Some people don't love it because of, they say it's a face only the mother could love with the buck teeth. But, so it looks like a really great BMW, right? And then there's that. Okay, this is the sponsor of the show, Electrify America. Electrify America has chargers they're 4 vehicles that are not Teslas. Look at that. Here's a prototype. Oh, you're good. Prototype of their chargers. There's solar panels on it. Looks like there's some battery packs. I wonder if they're going to build their own or if they're going to use Teslas. This is my favorite because everyone's just really excited about the Soul. Okay, so here is the Aptera Soul. And you saw this yesterday at the unveil with Sandy Monroe, which she's bopping around here somewhere. So look at all these people. Very excited about this. Even the kiddos excited. They've got stickers for the kiddos. It's pretty cool. All right, so this is the interior. Ooh, look at that. It's got kind of like an upside down yoke. Oh, that's cool. It's got display, and then a bigger display. And then, of course, the solar panels on the top. Check this. 40 up to 40 extra miles of range on a good sunny day. Here is the trunk. I wish I could lay in it. I would love to lay in it to see, but then everyone would want to lay in it. So I'll just show you, like here's my hand, right? And then I'll go over here. Here's my hand. It's a pretty good space. I'm 5'10". I think it would fit me. Is this a converted Porsche? Oh yeah, it's Farland Classic Restoration. I didn't get to see any of this stuff yesterday because I was so nervous about my presentation. All right. You can now have your vehicle restored to make it electric, which is pretty cool. Here's just a few examples right here. Check this. Is that a Fiero? You know what's that?
My name is Mark Brems.
Okay.
I have a company called 914 Electric.
Okay.
I build electric 914s. I think a smart move in this industry is to focus on one platform, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. And I contract to EV West to do conversions for them.
Okay.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay. EV West. Right.
So I've right off the bat, I converted Obi-Wan Kenobi's 54 oval window, that little blue Beetle you saw in People magazine when it broke down in Hollywood somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he decided, Ewan McGregor decided that he never wanted that to happen again. Paparazzi had a field day with that.
Oh gosh.
And he came to us. He wanted to make it electric.
Okay.
So, you know, you eliminate the petroleum, which means you will eliminate the heat, internal combustion, gasoline, the smell, all of the possible problems with an old Volkswagen engine. You think of it, an internal combustion engine it's a symphony, a ballet of hundreds of moving parts. And an electric motor has one moving part.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so
lots of electric vehicle drivers in the chat, and
oh, good.
Yeah, a lot of people who love these cars as well. So awesome. Okay, so you did this car.
Yes.
So can we take a look at it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's. Well, let's see. So this is you have 3 Tesla modules in this box right here.
Okay.
So this is actually my second conversion. The first one that I did for myself, because I've done a number for EV West at this point.
Okay.
I'll just preface that by saying that Michael, who is the owner, Michael Bream is the owner of EV West. I don't know if he's around here. He'll show up at some point.
Okay.
He saw my yellow 914 that I did 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years ago. Wow, you were
So I've been
really
driving
early.
it. It's been a daily driver. That's my thing. It has to be, it's like I couldn't buy an electric car 10 years ago.
Right. So you made it your own.
At the point, the Tesla Roadster was just becoming available. It was a little over 10 years ago. The Leaf was still in the factory, and I decided I thought it'd be fun to convert a car to electric. So I went online and started reading blogs.
Yeah.
And the 914 apparently was a really popular platform, and then lithium came along.
Oh yeah.
So everybody had been converting cars using car batteries. That's a lead acid battery, weighs 70 pounds. You're adding, 12 of those. But back in the day, people were using DC motors. A common system was 144 volts. So 12 volts for a car battery times 12. That's more than half a ton you're adding to the weight of the car. You're getting maybe 40 miles range at the most. And then lithium came along, game changer.
Right.
Smaller size, small form factor, higher energy density. So that was exciting to me. I said, I think I'm going to do this. I think I can do it.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
I did convert the car. Michael saw it. There was an event in Huntington Beach. Him and his crew, they had a booth there. It was like Earth Day or something. They brought their electric vehicles. He had the M3, the BMW, the Pikes Peak car.
Yeah, okay,
He had that there. And he saw my car, and it stuck in his head. So a few years later, he gave me a call. I said, I could really use somebody like you down here.
Yeah.
So we basically sold our house in LA, turned the ship, and came down here, and it's just been fun from day one. Yeah, fun.
That's so cool.
So back to this car. As I said, it was my second, and I learned a lot. Now we have Tesla modules. Back then, I was using CALB cells. They're Chinese aviation lithium battery.
Okay, 18650s?
No, these were lithium iron phosphate.
Oh yeah,
They were the brick. They were the
4 back then?
They were the bricks.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to pick them up from CALB, actually in Ontario, California.
Okay.
They have a warehouse there. I went with my little pickup truck to pick up my batteries, and they have a warehouse that was like
huge.
5 times as big as this, and there were piers of stacks of pallets of batteries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who do these belong to? And they said, well, this is Verizon, that one's T-Mobile, that one's Sprint.
Okay.
Cell companies were using them for UPS backup for cell towers.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I thought, if that's good enough for Verizon, then it's good enough for my car. So
we have some questions in the chat.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have people that are asking, let's see. Zach Curtis asks, I've been considering turning my MG Midget to electric.
Excellent.
Think it's possible?
Yes.
Yeah. Can they reach out to you?
Yeah, the best motor for a small car like that is either an AC50 from High Performance Electric Vehicles or a Hyper 9. Now, Hyper 9 makes two, NetGain makes the Hyper 9 motor, and there are 2 offerings. There's a 120 volt system, that's 5 Tesla modules.
Okay, wow.
Or
5,
the high voltage 144 volt system, which can take either 6 or 7 Tesla modules.
Okay, wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the 5 modules in a small car will get you, with that motor, will give you about 100 miles.
Okay.
7 modules, which I have in this car, will get me 140 miles.
140 miles, okay.
So I can get from my house in San Diego to LA, plug in at my friend's house.
And you're good.
That's my vision. I've been waiting to do this.
That's amazing.
I just finished this last Thursday. I finished.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Somebody's asking a Toyota truck conversion. He said it's probably not your thing, but right over there is a truck. Okay, so we'll have to go over there and take a look at that.
Yeah, you'll see it. That is a Toyota Hilux.
Okay.
I don't know what year that is.
Did you hear that, Chief?
Early 80s, maybe.
Okay.
Where's Johnny?
And then does your 914 have an available home charger? How fast is it at home?
My level 2 charger, which is 220 volts, I had a charger installed in my home in LA. You have to get a 220 drop from the pole into your house.
Right.
So an electrician will have to do that.
Okay.
It's not hard to put in a charging station in your home.
Yeah.
They're small. You can put them pretty much anywhere. They're weatherproof. Here, we just moved into our new place, so I do not yet have 220.
Yeah.
We have a provision for it at the box.
Understood.
But I'm charging 110. So really, it's kind of like how much gas do you put in your tank? That's the question. Well, how empty is your tank?
Right.
So if I drive around during the day and I've I've used up 20% of my pack.
Yeah.
I get, let's put it in these terms. With 110, I get about 9 miles back per hour of charging.
Nice. Okay. All right.
220 level 2 charging.
Okay.
I'd be getting it'd be about 13, 14, if I remember correctly, miles, maybe a little bit more per hour of charge.
All right. Okay, how can people get in touch with you or EV West? Do you know? Best way.
Go to the website.
Website, okay.
Check us out on Instagram.
Instagram, okay. Actually, one of my moderators put facebook.com/914electric.
That's the one.
Okay, cool.
Also Instagram.
Also Instagram, awesome. Okay, well, I've got to get going over to a speech, but thank you so much for talking.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ryan Levenson. I am a prolific car sharer. I started a few years ago, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek into the history of how I got into car sharing, kind of my general thoughts on car sharing, and if you yourselves are car sharers or either hosts or guests, hopefully this will be helpful for you to see, and I want to end this with kind of a bit of a Q&A, get your thoughts and answer any questions. So, without further ado, so we're gonna, as I just said, we're gonna do the About Me. I'm gonna talk about how I got started with car sharing, and then what I've learned so far, and hopefully you'll find this helpful. So first, kind of a little about me. Has anyone in the audience ever seen this video before? Anyone? Very cool, because I have filmed this video. For about 5.5 years, I worked at Tesla. I did media, marketing, recruiting, and events for Tesla, the recruiting operations team. And occasionally, I got the rare opportunity to help out the marketing team. And this project, pretty special. It was actually just an engineering kind of fan project. 3 of the engineers in the body controls team had worked overnight, extra hours to do this and just show it to the employees at headquarters. And Elon got wind of it and asked, hey, can we get that in the customer cars? And the employees said no. And so not too much later, I heard about it. And I was like, well, if we can't get in the cars, maybe we can show customers. So within 24 hours, I had kind of gone back to where they shown the headquarters employees, and we reshot this and got it out there. So it was fun. I had a lot of great opportunities at Tesla, but all good things must come to an end. And at the start of the pandemic, I decided to end my time at Tesla. But before that, I had the opportunity to actually buy a Tesla. So first, I got one of the first Model 3s ever made. I had been working at Tesla for several years, was heavily invested in Tesla. I thought, this is going to be the biggest company ever. But I wanted to verify that. So I bought one of the first Model 3s that was on the market, and I had been 297. I had been 297, and I immediately drove it across the country. I actually set the electric cannonball record back while I still worked at Tesla.
Wow.
Tesla was not a big fan of that. At the time, they were trying to sell Model 3s. They were trying to sell Model S's and X's, and they didn't really want to highlight how great this Model 3 was because they already had 500,000 orders for it. So I couldn't really talk much about it, but if you Google Orange Model 3 New York, you'll see a few articles about my successful attempts at that cannonball record. So there it is in Manhattan. I took a series of photos. I put it up on an account called My Model 3. And so I had my Model 3 out in New York. And then
when you were coming down,
I had the opportunity, because I worked at Tesla, I had the opportunity to buy another Tesla. Of all things, they don't normally provide discounts. If any of you know, Tesla doesn't really do that. There was an exception at the end of one quarter back in 2018. They were a little bit more crunched financially, and so they're offering to existing employees you could get a discount on a second Tesla. We got free FSD and premium interior, which amounts to effectively $10,000. So my depreciation for that first year, put a good amount of miles on it, was about $10,000. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna sell my one Tesla and buy this next one. But I only had 24 hours to actually execute on that sale. So there I was, 26 years old with 2 Model 3s. And I had that guy that actually was supposed to be the one to film that Model X Christmas video. He'd become a friend of mine and advised, instead of just selling your other car, why not list it on Turo? And I thought, well, this car's really sentimental to me. I don't really want to lose it. I don't want to give it up. So I'll try it. And the first month, it was profitable. I was making money, exceeding my car payments, and I hadn't even really done anything to necessarily push the car to really get more rentals. I wasn't really sure. I really wanted to get it out. I was lowering the prices. And so I was like, okay, I've got my Model 3, and I got that Twitter account, my Model 3, and I got my Turo car. That's fine. But I want to really learn here. I'm not really learning with just one car on Turo.
And then I love it.
Yes.
So I got another one. So in just a course of basically 6 months, I was sitting with 3 Model 3s, and again, basically it came down to, I now have one that I'm A/B testing, so I'm able to price one up. I've got one that's wrapped orange, one that's not wrapped orange, kind of really learning, and that's what we're going to get to, is really the learnings of what I've taken from hosting on Turo. But having 2 cars was great, but I then realized I've got some downtime with these cars. You know, it's not back-to-back rentals, and you need to be able to inspect your car. So I got to the point that I was just listing all 3, and whichever one was last was the one I used. And if there was one left, I would just price it up a little bit, make it a little more expensive. And as a result of pricing it up, sometimes people booked it, and sometimes I had a car, and sometimes I took BART. I took Bay Area Rapid Transit, because why not? I'll get paid $100 a day to take BART, sure.
Yeah.
So there I was, again, 27-ish years old, 3 Model 3s, figuring it out. Then the pandemic hit.
Oops.
And I was thinking, I've been at Tesla on recruiting operations for a good 4.5 years, 5.5 years now, and it's just not really doing it for me. Unfortunately, I really wanted to really be selling people on the cars. I was selling people on the mission and getting them to work at Tesla, but I really wanted to get people more excited about the cars, and broadly EVs, and I couldn't really do that at Tesla. It wasn't really my voice. If anyone follows Elon on Twitter, that's really his voice and his vision.
Yeah.
And I had seen, in my 5.5 years, I had seen that team turn over 3 times. I was like, even if I get this ideal job that I've been like dreaming about, I'm only gonna hold it for a 1.5 to 2 years. It's just, that's Elon's job, and then that's someone to support him. So I left Tesla, I sold one of those Model 3s, and I bought 2 Model Ys, all in the same week.
Wow.
Right as the pandemic was hitting.
Wow.
I wasn't planning on sharing this, but basically I was skiing in Japan with a friend from China. I'd never been to Asia before, and yeah, he was deciding whether or not he felt safe going back to China. And in that moment, it was pretty clear to me that if China can't contain this, I don't think we're going to be able to contain this. This is a 2 weeks thing. It's not going to be 2 weeks, so I'm going to start my own business. I had enough money and time to figure this out, so bought another car and started really leaning in. What am I learning with this fleet? So, what am I learning with this fleet? A couple things. One, Teslas are great cars for car sharing. And again, EVs generally, they have less maintenance. They're really pretty easy. You know, you can track them. They're internet connected. So, an example of that, Teslas are simpler. If you compare this to this, it's pretty clear, like the learning curve of getting into a Tesla is dramatically easier. I don't know what half those buttons do, and if you own a BMW, I'm sure that that's going to be great for you. But anyone can get into this.
Oh wow!
And learn it just instantly. It's
so good.
It is designed to be used. It is designed, in my opinion, to be shared. So I'm really leaning into those things. What makes an EV something that's easy to use and learn? That's some of it. And so I've been buying other EVs, not just Teslas. I bought a Mustang Mach-E to learn with, and I had that for a while. I actually also have a Rivian, but to me, that is significant. Another thing that's significant, key cards. If anyone here is, again, car sharing, ever rented a car, haven't had that key fob, and some people lose it, key cards are incredible for a number of reasons. And I could go, this whole talk could just be on key cards. So, why I love key cards? One, they don't have a long, oh, there we go, he's in the audience. They don't have a long connectivity range. Like it's very close range, so you can put that anywhere in the car. If someone breaks into the car, first of all, they have to find it. If you have a key fob, the car might not even lock with the key fob in it. You are able to unlock so much more, and these key cards cost pennies to make. Tesla sells them for $35. If someone loses them, it's not the same type of conversation. It's, hey, can you give me $20 to replace the key card? And then you yourself can pair a new one. I actually have, in the very back of my wallet, I keep a key card with me at all times, and it's just a master key. I've trained it on all of my cars, so I can walk up to any of my cars and I carry one key. I have a few more vehicles, and I still have one key card with me at all times, and I keep one extra in my backpack in case anyone ever loses one. I can repair it and get it back on the road. Again, when you think about car sharing, rental cars, you want to minimize downtime. So maintenance, missing keys, these are all important factors in car sharing. And EVs, and specifically EVs with key cards, make that a whole lot easier. On top of that, obviously there's phone key, and there's more that we can do there. But starting with key cards, again, these cars are designed, in my opinion, to be shared. So, as I said, I've got a couple more vehicles. It's getting a little bit crazy. It's getting a little bit crazy.
Oh my gosh.
So this is a screenshot from just a few minutes ago of all my cars that I'm managing.
Oh my God.
This is my fleet at this point in time. I manage 12 vehicles in San Francisco just by myself. And part of this is, thank you.
Woo!
I think this is an opportunity to really learn, and I want to stretch myself and see where the limits are. And so actually I have a few of my friends up here representing Standard Fleet, and we're really looking at what tools are necessary to help people manage cars. And where are these limits? What can one person manage? And if they have a team of 3, what can 3 people manage? Because I think it's actually pretty incredible what you can do as an individual as far as revenue and profit with just a small fleet of cars. And 12 cars,
just
I mean,
12
this is
vehicles
beyond 6 figures. This is a pretty good income for me, and then on top of that, we're learning with it. And we're gonna take this a few steps further. So, why does this matter? Because at the end of the day, again, accelerating the transition. With electric vehicles, we are right now at a paradigm shift. And again, with minimal maintenance, with these cars being able to drive 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we might have million-mile powertrains on our hands. If you start to refurbish those vehicles at 500,000 miles, we are actually accelerating the transition by driving these cars more. I think a lot of people want to baby their Teslas. It's the most expensive car they've ever purchased, and I get that. But these powertrains should be able to last a very long time. Actually, one of my biggest complaints is that the paint is not meant to last the same length of time. We're painting these cars for maybe 10 years, and then you're gonna have to repaint them, whereas the powertrain should last by normal use a good 20, 30 years. So I'm a proponent for getting these cars out on the road, and I'm living that. I'm putting these cars out there. Ember 2.0, that actually was my second one I ever had. It's got 120,000 miles. My girlfriend's dad was in it, never been in it before. He was blown away by the condition that this thing was in, because everything's holding up, the powertrain's holding up. These cars are built to last, is my point. So putting them out there, getting them running, is a good thing, and it also is accelerating that transition. It's getting people exposure to EVs, it's getting them thinking about EVs if they're a first-time buyer, or if they're already an EV driver, it's just giving them that same experience like they have at home. And again, Tesla seems to be designing for that with cloud profiles and everything like that. So we're really, really seeing a transition here where 200,000 miles is going to be a thing of the past. We're going to see 4, 5, 6, and soon 1 million miles on a powertrain. And again, it's just less moving parts. EVs are a big part of that. And how do we maximize that utilization? In my opinion, it's car sharing. And at this point, I really want to open up to questions and just answer whether it be anything about my experience car sharing, worst horror stories to best financial stories. I really want this to be an open conversation about how can I help any of you that either want to become Turo hosts, car share, anything like that. So I see someone coming up to the mic. Go ahead.
Hello.
We'll I'm going to get activated back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you logistically just manage the rentals? Do people know where the car is and
Cool
just
ending,
right
the
in?
Cybertruck.
Or, how are you managing this fleet? Just logistics.
Absolutely, because right now I am doing that. Just a few minutes before this presentation, I had one of my renters reach out, and I've never had but 2 issues with cellular connectivity. But yes, so basically these cars are, as you know, internet connected, and anyone can log into an app and see where it's at. But unfortunately, my previous renter that returned the car last night returned it in a deep part of a parking garage, not where I would normally have it, so it lost cell service. But otherwise, I'm able to actually basically, from my phone, manage my car, see where it's at, unlock it for the renter if they can't get that initial unlock, tell them, hey, the key card is hidden in there. It's not, doesn't have to be in any Faraday bag, it's just sitting there comfortably in the car. And on top of that, I forgot to mention, pin to drive. So once they actually get in, if someone was to break in, they don't have the pin. So I've provided a pin to drive on all my cars, and again, anyone can just get in, document the condition, and go. Yeah.
Hi. How often does something go wrong, like an accident, or they take the car and they didn't communicate, and now they're having an extra day, and you gotta hunt them down?
Absolutely fair, and I definitely have heard several horror stories here. I've had very few. My 5th rental ever, so if anyone's considering hosting a car, it's your first time, it's your baby, and you're scared, to be fair, horror stories do happen. My 5th rental ever, the rental, they had an allotted 1,800 miles. They drove 1,759 miles to LA and back. I'm like, how, that math, they must have just looped LA the whole time. But they also curbed all 4 of the wheels, smoked in it,
no.
and left a baseball, a football, and a soccer ball in the trunk, and Febreze in the passenger seat. So it was raining. I got everything taken care of with the exception of those curved wheels. I didn't go back out until 24 hours later. So with Turo, with any car sharing, to some degree, you've got to think about like insurance. You've got to document the condition of the car. So that taught me a valuable lesson about documenting the condition within 24 hours before and within 24 hours after. And even that, I'll also have my guests do the same. But documenting is the biggest thing to avoid that. But yes, I've had some horror stories. I've had that one, I've had someone hit a deer in the middle of the night. And, you know, I've had a few repairs, but generally speaking, people that are renting Teslas,
yeah, it has.
They know what they're getting into. They probably drive a Tesla at home. They're excited about it and they're careful. So overall, I've hosted now 750 trips.
Wow.
Less than 7 horror stories.
Wow.
So nice. Again, curved wheels will happen. Happens all the time. I let those go. But real damage, real concerns like late rentals and just like people that are super not communicative, less than 1%.
Sure. Okay, second question, sorry.
Sure, no, this is great.
So my fiance's been using Turo like really recently in the past month or so. And her regular person that has like a fleet like yours, but it's not Teslas, they've got like Audis, Mustangs, all that.
Hopefully the electric Mustang, the electric Audi.
No, not yet. But now when I go home, that's what I'm going to tell her about, right? Let's try out the electric cars. But they're reaching out to her privately, and she's getting the better deals, and you build this like side relationship. So we've considered this, what you're talking about, right? How often are you also doing that piece? Like you find someone you really trust, and now you can kind of take them off the app, and they're like a friend. Yeah,
respectfully, I at this time am not doing that as much. We've had a few people, like friends and family, do that kind of thing with us, but generally speaking, I'm really focused on treating this as a learning fleet, and Turo doesn't take such a large percentage, and that insurance is such a big deal that I will push the majority of those rentals just to Turo, those people. I do respect that though, and I am thinking long term and talking to the right people to see about what it would look like to create that, you know, more premium experience, more connected experience. That's why the guys here, the standard fleet, that's what we're talking about, is making that experience more integrated, and ideally maybe in the future getting off of Turo. Turo's a great platform, but they are designed for everyone. I believe that there's a better experience that could be made, so looking at that as well.
Appreciate it, thanks.
Thank you.
So I heard you mention parking garage earlier. I live way out in the rural area, nothing but houses. Maybe nearest town might be 30 minutes away. What would you give advice for that, like for pre-positioning the rentals?
Yeah, some context I probably should have shared. I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area, only 15 minutes from the airport, and I would say at least 50% of my rentals are from there. And if you think about San Francisco, there's also a fair number of people that don't own cars, or a couple that might own one car. So that my demand is naturally higher, being in that, you know, kind of the epicenter. So my general recommendation is to basically start, find out what the demand you get. I don't necessarily. My general recommendation is not to buy a car. In order to find that out, try with your existing car. Again, hopefully it's not your baby, you don't care about it too much. You're willing to work with, if there's damage, that work with the guest or work with Turo to get it repaired. But basically, I would say it's unknown. You're in unknown territory, but the way that you find out is by trying, and that would be my initial recommendation to you. Did that answer your question though?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey Ryan, basic question. How do you handle refueling on both, I mean, on the non-Tesla as well as the Tesla side? And then what about violations to like fast track or anything like that?
Great question. So as far as refueling, my general approach with Turo at this time, which is not fully supported by Turo actually, they recently redacted some of what they made easy before, which is cleaning and charging they still very much support, but cleaning they don't. So my general listing does suggest very directly, I'm providing your car with 200 miles of range and it'll be relatively clean. I'm requesting that you return it in the same condition or better. So that's generally my philosophy with car sharing is, to some degree, it's a community effort to keep these cars clean and going and minimizing downtime. Because yeah, right now, I've been at this event for 2 days and I've had cars go in and go out. And so it's just a matter of, again, documenting that condition, in this case, having my renters take photos on both sides. What I recommend, and pretty directly, is 1 photo of each side, 1 photo of each corner. Those photos will overlap, that's intentional. and then one photo of each wheel, and then put the phone up to the basket, one photo of the interior from each window. So basically what it comes down to is communicating that, hey, this is a community effort, here's what I'm delivering it, and that's what I would like for it back. And if that doesn't happen, yeah, working with the guest. Unfortunately, I'm not able to demand a cleaning fee unless it's exorbitantly dirty or smoked in, but I am still able to request charging and charge additional fees for that recharging. So that would be it. And that's, again, as I think about the future of car sharing, I really think it should be, hey, you pull in, I've actually got intentionally a Cybertruck up here. It's not painted. It should be really easy to kind of clean up and turn. So really maximize that utilization, get those cars out.
Hi, thanks again. Does your insurance cover opportunity cost of downtime for the fleet? And a second one, where do you keep your cars?
Both great questions. So downtime as far as insurance, unfortunately, no. So one of my cars does have a somewhat significant dent in it from an international rental of another car that hit our rental, and she was also international. So I'm working through some of that now, and that car, I'm simply just letting each renter know well before the reservation, hey, by the way, this car does have a dent to the rear fender, and trying to minimize that downtime. Because yeah, right now, unfortunately, the type of insurance that I'm on, Turo will take a large part in order to pay for downtime. And we've done the math, that just does not make sense. So we're just trying to maximize uptime and prevent that from affecting our bottom line. But yeah, longer term, that is something that should be considered. Downtime is the devil. And then where do we keep them? For the last, basically since the start of the pandemic, this is kind of a fun story. At the start of the pandemic, I was looking for a place to kind of start my YouTube career. I'd been behind the camera at Tesla, I wanted to be in front of the camera, and I didn't know how to be in front of the camera. This is pretty rare for me, this is pretty unique, but I'm working to this point, so thank you all for being here. But basically, I wanted a place to practice, because I knew I was going to mess up, and I knew I was going to be embarrassed, and I wanted to do that by myself. So I looked for buildings, looked for warehouses, and basically found that there wasn't really anything that fit what I wanted. I was going to be in like a place where there's going to be a lot of people working in the background. I was going to be a shared space. And then I found out 4 blocks from my apartment, there was a film studio that had been sitting vacant for a year, listed for $16,000 a month. I said, perfect, I'll take it.
16?
So I went to her and I said, hey, can I pay you a fourth of that?
Oh.
Maybe a little less than a fourth of that to take care of it for you. I'll make sure that no one breaks in. I'll take care of graffiti and whatnot. And that space, I basically filmed in the back and parked at the front. And I've been managing that for a while. Actually, there's another guy around here. His name is Ben Parker, and he launched a business from there as well. Slowly we took over more and more of the building, but Ben Parker is launching Lightship. Most of you probably haven't heard of it.
Oh, that's how they know each other.
It's a tow-behind RV meant for the electric age. Right now, if you were to put an RV behind, if you were to put an RV behind any pickup truck, you're going to go less than 100 miles. He's trying to change that to make it so you basically don't lose any range at all. So he's got a team of 24. He just recently moved out of the building. We'll see what happens in the long term. I might be moving out of that building as well just because of how it goes. But my hope is to get that rent back down to the 1/4 of the current price. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Woo!
Question about what the people left, but what they were talking about charging. How do you charge your customers for supercharging? Because I'm assuming you pay for the supercharging.
Great question. And if the internet was working, I would show you very directly. But this was actually another cool story because I worked at Tesla and I was connected to the web team. And one day, they knew I was car sharing. One day they said, we've worked a lot together. You've done a lot for us. We want to do something for you. What do you need as a car sharer? This is, the web dev team thinking about robotaxi. What do you need? So what I really need is to be able to filter my receipts. Because right now, historically, when you open the Tesla dashboard, you click down, you open the receipt, it's a PDF, you save it. It's this really long process. And I said, I really need to be able to filter by car, because at that point I had 3, I was about to get my 4th car, and I said I need to be able to filter my receipts. So now I go in, I filter by car, and I screenshot that whole area with the vehicle that is selected visibly there, and I charge them for the days that they're rental. The thing that they didn't do that I need them to do is put the hours, because with Turo, at least, you're generally doing day-long rentals or more, but maybe a car is returned at noon and goes back out at 4. And if that gets supercharged in Gilroy both times, I'm like, I think that Gilroy trip, shoot, I don't really know. So it's imperfect, but it could be better. Again, I'm working with these guys with Standard Fleet to make that better.
So you gave lots of good reasons of like why you focus on Teslas, but I would assume that a lot of the other models could be economically viable, particularly when they're very scarce. So just curious if you have experimented with going into other models.
Absolutely. So that's part of what I do with my YouTube channel. Don't tell the OEMs this, but basically with my YouTube channel, I get to test out a lot of these electric vehicles, and so I've basically dual played that angle. And so I drove the Cadillac Lyriq, and I actually think it's a pretty good car. It might be a good car for car sharing, and so I've got a pre-order for one of those. We'll see if that makes sense long term. But again, the Rivian, and I have Mustang Mach-E.
I do too.
I'm learning basically how integrated these cars are, how easy they are to turn, and so I'm evaluating all of them as I'm reviewing. So if you watch my YouTube channel, there's a degree of like what I'm saying from a consumer standpoint, but in my head, I'm always thinking about how is this as a sharing vehicle. And I would go back to the slide of how simple it is, to easy to learn, key cards, all those things that make it so much easier. Limiting downtime, maximizing experience, getting people on the road, enjoying their trip. So that's why I lean so hard into Tesla, but I am very open-minded. Again, Rivian has key cards. I love my Rivian partly because it has key cards. It's a great vehicle for people to experience, and I love sharing it. So if there's other vehicles I should be trying, I will buy them, test them, and share them.
Hey, I got a Model Y that I've listed a few times on Turo. And just a couple questions about transportation. How many miles will you drive to pick up the passenger, and how do you get back after?
Great question as well. So basically, generally speaking, I either host from my building in the Mission District in San Francisco, or I'll take the car to SFO. Somewhat ideal situation, and by the way, I will charge my renters to deliver to SFO. That rate will change depending on how available I am that week. But effectively, I will drop the car off at SFO, and I will go pick it up when it's done. Ideally, within 24 hours, once someone else has returned their car to SFO, I'll just take that back. Alternatively, I'll Uber share, or BART is right there. It's not too far from my apartment. I'll hop on BART, and then I'll hop on my little one-wheel electric skateboard, and I'll take that home. And that really is not just fun, but it's also a big cost savings. So I've been able to, depending on time, I'll check where BART is. While I'm heading towards the freeway, I'll call an Uber share and save $10 because I rode my one-wheel there. So one-wheel, Uber, and BART. Yeah.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey.
The per day cost for your customers, how do you determine that for one? And I know you have a bunch of different EVs. How much does the variance, how much of a variance is there between the per day cost on those vehicles?
Yeah, great question. So the way I approach it is kind of supply and demand. I've learned a few things and some interesting things. Like I noticed a significant drop in the maybe quality of the renter, I'll say, or their approach to EVs. A lot of people more. When I start charging less than $100 per day, I do notice that the renters either expect more, ironically, or are much further from like this is something they expect to be perfect. And again, I'm not detailing my cars between each trip. I'm asking my renters to clean them. I'm confirming they're like relatively clean, but it's almost, think about like with Airbnb. If you're renting out the whole building, you might expect it to be perfectly clean. If you're renting out a room within a building, like, okay, you understand whether other people live there. So the way I approach it is I'm sharing my vehicle with you at this point, and maybe in the future I'll have to spend more on that, but as far as the car sharing, yes, pricing. So I price it based on demand. I want somewhere between 60% utilization and 90% utilization. I still want they're naturally gonna sit for a period, but I will, every couple days, I'll go in there, how's the utilization looking, and I'll work with the prices. So depending on basically how the day is, how many of my cars are booked. My cars could be $75 a day to $200 per day. And that Rivian, it's going out for $250 plus.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you all for coming. We're actually going to be doing a little happy hour later at Baja Rick's from 5 to 7. So please, if you have more questions that you want to answer, just want to talk about, again, there's another question.
I just wanted to say that's a great presentation that you just gave, and it's very inspiring.
Thanks
so much.
We'll see you later.
Your big pickup truck and can get you from point A to B using a lot less energy. I'm going to ask you a question as a bit of audience participation and also a little bit more padding. How many of you here live in a large city? Okay. How many of you here live in a suburban area attached to a large city? How many here live in the middle of nowhere?
Me.
Okay, well, we're an exclusive bunch, okay? But for the majority of people, the average commute that we see is less than 20 miles. And so carrying around 200 kilowatt hours of battery pack to do 20 miles every day makes no sense whatsoever. So let's kick it off and talk about why smaller battery packs and smaller, more efficient
CEO of
vehicles
Aptera Motors,
have a
CEO
place
of
in a world
Vindus,
dominated by
CEO of
SUVs
Arcimoto,
and pickup trucks.
which is not up
Let's
here,
kick
and
it
then
off.
CEO
Kevin,
of
why don't you start?
Electrameccanica.
And as we come this way, we're going to talk about the various ways that your respective companies are attacking
All the people.
the problem of building more efficient vehicles.
Let's take a quick look at where did the big vehicle come from? In the 50s and the 60s, the big vehicles were a way of being recognized. They weren't safer. There was no seat belts, no ABS, none of the things we see today. They were just bigger. So if you wanted to be identified as standing out, bigger and more power was the answer. So car companies, the standard car companies that made internal combustion engines, as they move toward this, we're not out to compete with changing an internal combustion engine to an EV. We're going to make an EV for you. So the whole point is not bigger is better. Let's change our mental paradigm with bigger is just another thing. How about the right thing for what we do every day? So we're shifting to that nature and our mindsets. So we have a smaller vehicle. We have a vehicle that only uses the energy that we need to use while we're there. And stepping toward that and having a beautiful, very eye-catching vehicle that allows us to be recognized for doing something great and have a lot of fun doing it is the shift.
So just want to welcome John Miller here. John, tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Hi guys, John Miller, Arcimoto, Director of Communications. Honored to be here. Great to see you again, Nikki, and great to be on stage with you guys. I think we all have a really exciting group of vehicles that are totally different from anything on the market today. So Arcimoto, we make three-wheel electric vehicles, a small footprint. Our FUV, the Fun Utility Vehicle, is a two-seater. We're doing test rides out front if you haven't had a chance. It's best ride in the park, in my opinion. 75 mile an hour top speed, 102 miles of city range. We're trying to build the most affordable, efficient EV for everyday driving. Some of the key stats, about 90% of drives today have only one or two people in the vehicle. The average American only drives about 35 miles a day. So for us, we really wanted to create an under $20,000 EV that everyone can afford. The average EV goes for about $60,000 right now, which is just out of reach for so many people. Yeah. 66. Okay. So, well, then you throw in the rebate, we'll give it a 60. So, we thought we have a 19 kilowatt pack and that 102 mile of range, that's going to check the box for almost every single trip we do, other than the long road trip and like the big cargo Costco run. But when you're going to work, going to school, running around town, it fills all those needs. And at the same time, it's probably the only vehicle I drive for fun. I never drive my regular car for fun. It just sits there. But this is one you just take out into the rolling hills of wine country and go exploring, because it costs less than $3 to recharge the battery from empty at like today's prices. So I really hope you guys get a chance to take a ride. We're based in Eugene, Oregon. We're on sale here in California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, Florida, Nevada, and Arizona. So that's me, that's Arcimoto, and happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Now, there are different ways of making vehicles efficient. Chris, I'm sure we're going to talk in a moment about how you can use in-wheel motors and aerodynamic designs to make a car go as far as possible using as little power as possible. But Li Hang, one of the things that we need to focus on is the physical space that vehicles take on the road. Now, one of the key features of Nimbus is its diminutive size. And while that means that you have a smaller vehicle that's easier to park, that's easier to get around in heavy traffic, it also has a really major impact on other motorists and congestion. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and how that fits into Nimbus philosophy.
Yeah, so the Nimbus was designed for city use, where space is at a premium. And so we made the vehicle as compact as possible. And one of the ways we're able to achieve that is by tilting the vehicle. So it tilts like a motorcycle, which means it's really narrow and lightweight, but it's also, you know, a side effect is also really fun to drive. So that's a plus as well. And as a result, you know, our vehicle weighs around 350 kilograms, or was it 800 pounds or so. And so we can get 93 miles of range just on less than 9 kilowatt hours of battery. And, you know, that's pretty efficient. And, you know, the other nice thing about having less batteries is you can swap out the batteries by hand. It's light enough to do that. And that's beneficial for a lot of people living in cities where they don't have a place to park their vehicle and charge it. So the fact that you can take out the batteries by hand and bring it to your apartment or your house, that's a plus for a lot of people. So
it's very important to have a mixture of different sized vehicles and to have those vehicles operate in ways that can reduce congestion. But we're also seeing vehicle designs all become the same, and in a world of boxes, Aptera stands out because it is not a box, and it is designed to be a vehicle. It's the largest of all of the vehicles represented here on stage today.
Yes, it is.
But it manages its efficiency. I think, are we still looking at like 10 miles per kilowatt hour as a target? And 10 miles per kilowatt hour. Just to put that in perspective, my F-150 Lightning, which is over there, a Diratol, it can carry 2,000 pounds, it can drive a long way, but it can do that because it has a 131 kilowatt hour battery pack in it.
It's amazing.
It averages 2 miles per kilowatt hour. So Aptera is a vehicle that is 5 times more efficient. That means if we had people driving Apteras, some of the other vehicles represented on with similar efficiencies, we would actually not need as many power stations. So Chris, tell us about how you've reached that efficiency.
Yeah, I think right sizing transportation is one way to end our big battery addiction that we have now. I think for Aptera, it's interesting, we've been working on this quite a while now, but to see the EV industry mature and now be moving to bigger and bigger EVs is not the way that I had hoped the industry would evolve. I had hoped the industry would evolve to have very diverse electric vehicles that are right-sized for the need, because electric powertrains are so versatile. You can make smaller vehicles, delivery vehicles, lean vehicles, all possible through the flexibility of powertrains. But Aptera, we really started with the first principles of efficiency. Make the vehicles aerodynamics is key, weight is key, powertrain is key. But you put the solar panels on our Aptera onto your F-150 pickup truck, and you get pretty abysmal charge range, maybe 6 miles a day versus 40 miles a day. So I think we set an example, along with our other compatriots, for people to right-size transportation, but also to really focus on how their devices use energy. Aerodynamics is key. Weight is key. You have to be building with unique materials, lightweight materials. You have to be using powertrains that are really efficient. We like our in-wheel motors because there's no moving parts. You get power to the wheel. You don't take any losses through gears or
or universal joints or anything like that. So we hope that that trend pushes the industry away from building bigger and bigger EVs that have 150, 200 kilowatt hour battery packs. Your Ford F-150 has the bigger battery. The battery pack in your Ford F-150 weighs more than all of our vehicles. So it's
together at the same time. Truth be known, I'll have to chop that up. 7,000 pounds. So if I weigh about 7,000 pounds, I think I could probably, you could probably have all your vehicles on one side of the scale, and the F-150 would still be heavier.
But I think it really is keying in on how our vehicles are using energy and make the most of every electron that's coming out of that battery pack, and we'll start to reduce the size of those battery packs. It's just amazing how much effort goes into mining the materials, mining the aluminum, refining the copper to make these battery packs. So the more energy efficient we are, the less electrons we take out of battery packs. We can make them smaller and smaller. It's not just the energy you use per mile.
Battery swap, everybody.
You use to create your transportation device. So all of us are making great transportation devices that use.
Things that we need to acknowledge here is that every vehicle represented here is not being sold as a silver bullet that will solve all of the problems of our transit today, but rather a tool to help change our relationship with transportation, commuting, and urban transit. I think, John, that what we are seeing with Arcimoto is one of the smallest autonomous vehicle-capable vehicles coming to market. Talk to us about how that can help make better use and more efficient travel possible.
Sure. So we are working with a partner of Faction based in San Francisco. Next week at the Micromobility Conference, they'll be showing off the D1, which is our Deliverator, which is the Arcimoto small form factor delivery vehicle. And theirs is autonomous, and it's really cool to see them. They like take an Xbox controller and remote drive it like right up onto the stage for the show. So that's still in the works, but I think what we're really targeting is with Faction is a sort of robo-valet program. And what it would look like is, you know, you pull up your phone, you hit a button, you say how many people you have, how far you're going, and ideally the right tool for that job is going to come. If you're going all the way to, you know, Mammoth, you know, maybe a Model Y will come, but if you're doing what we mostly do every day, probably a small form factor vehicle like an Arcimoto can come pick you up. And what's cool about the Robo-Valet is, so it'll autonomously arrive and you and the passenger get in, and then you actually get to drive it away yourself. The biggest cost in rideshare is the driver. When you eliminate the driver, there's an incredible amount of savings that go into that per journey. So you can have a very affordable trip, and you can also drive. And that will sort of bridge the gap between full autonomous, where you're just kicking back and watching something because you're still going to drive it. But you get that big step change right there just by eliminating the driver, bringing a vehicle right to you, and you know, I mean, I don't know what the pricing will be, but it will be very affordable compared to, say, an Uber.
So I have another question here for Lee Hang. One of the other things that we forget when we're talking about efficiency for vehicles is it's not just about how much energy in terms of kilowatt hours per mile or kilometers per 100 kilowatt hours that we use. It's also about how efficient that vehicle is in its movement. One of the biggest killers of efficiency in vehicles is slowing down and taking corners. And that's something, obviously, that Nimbus has tackled in its leaning design. How much energy can you actually save by getting a vehicle to lean into a corner so you don't have to slow down so dramatically to take the corner? I'm not a physicist, but the physics of going around a corner are fascinating to me.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. There is an efficiency when you lean around a corner and you instead of turning the wheels, you're leaning to turn. So there is some improvement in efficiency there. But I think for us, most of the efficiency comes from the fact that the leaning allows the vehicle to be more narrow, and as a result, you're using less materials for the vehicle, and it's lighter. And for the kind of speeds that you're driving in the city, where it's on average 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, weight is the most important factor in determining how efficient a vehicle is. And so we're extremely lightweight, and that's how we're more efficient.
And Kevin, one of the biggest things when you sit in traffic in LA or any major city in the US, in fact around the world today, is that most of the vehicles that you see going by are massive vehicles with one person in them. And obviously the Solo is called the Solo because it has one seat. The key is in the name, right? With an enclosed design, you don't have to worry about the drag or the elements that come from being a motorcyclist. And I'm a motorcyclist. I love riding motorbikes, but they're not efficient. Can we talk a little bit about how the roadmap to making one-seat electric vehicles can actually improve the efficiency for the daily commute? Can you give me a versus comparison, a 4-seat family car to, say, an Electrameccanica Solo?
When you look at, we talked about battery size, you talked about going down the road. So we're at about 6 miles per kilowatt hour. When you remove all the other seats, the things that you don't use, you're 75% of the time you're driving, you take all the other things out. You don't have to heat them, you don't have to cool them, you don't have to do any of the other things that all the other vehicles that are carrying that, it goes away. When you have a smaller battery, batteries are very heavy, we just mentioned that. Minimal battery means minimal weight, which means you don't need to carry as big a powertrain. So we've been right-sizing everything on these vehicles. When you're talking, it's kind of hard to believe when you think about it. We have a 42 kilowatt drive. We go 85 miles an hour. We speed limit. You only need a certain amount of power to accelerate, to get onto a freeway, to get off of the freeway. And our big balance and what we've been trying to do is offer, as everyone is trying to find it, right, the niche, offer a vehicle that urban use, we know we're our urban solution, but you got to be able to get on the freeway every now and again and get off to go town to town. Got to be able to meet your 100 miles or more. Okay, 100 miles is probably all you need to really do. And can you do every electron? Can you get it as small a battery as possible, but still meet all the requirements for safety, for acceleration? To get on a freeway, you have certain requirements. So as we look at the use, somebody who drives, just the driver, looking at what they do, we can find more and more optimal solutions for just the driver. So by removing all the other seats and other elements, now you can put them back in, don't get me wrong. We've got a vehicle coming that's got a second flip down seat, but the whole idea is get really, really good at optimizing for a single passenger, minimize the battery, right size the powertrain, get the right aerodynamic drag for the speed that you're in, and make sure it's fun to drive. Because you don't have to take style and beauty away. I mean, look at, everyone's got great looking vehicles, right? So you can get that personalization and have it be light and very fun and useful.
And talking about what you just said, Kevin, Chris, one thing that you said to me a long time ago when we were talking about the battery pack design for Aptera is that because you have an efficient vehicle, the demand on the battery is so much less than it would be for a big vehicle. And that also means that you don't need the massive amount of cooling. Kevin was hinting at that earlier. Sandy Munro, I don't know if anybody saw Sandy Munro's early teardown of the Mustang Mach-E, when they take out the front, and he is very angry, in a polite way, about the fact that there's all these extra pipes and cooling systems, and it's primarily to keep the battery pack and the motors cool. Because you design an efficient vehicle, you then don't put so much strain on the batteries. That improves the battery life, right, Chris?
Yeah, right-sizing transportation or building for efficiency means you can have a smaller powertrain. It means that powertrain's creating less heat. You get a lot of heat from your powertrain. We have a very efficient HVAC system, so it means that HVAC system is making a lot less heat. Smaller vehicles don't have as big a cabin, so the air conditioning heat has to go somewhere. We've leaned our vehicle down so much that we don't even have a blow-through radiator on the Aptera. We actually use the skin of the Aptera, the belly pan of the Aptera, to cool all the systems in the vehicle. But it's because we're so efficient that we don't create much heat in the first place. And the batteries, we do have a heating and cooling system for the batteries, but it takes very little energy to do that. So I think the more that these other companies can focus on efficiency, the more they will be able to reduce materials, reduce complexity, and make their vehicles more acceptable because you can lower the cost. The great thing about having an efficient vehicle with a smaller battery pack is we can have much less expensive offerings. Our battery pack costs a fifth of the battery pack on an F-150 pickup truck, but we go the same distance. So when we price out our vehicles, I think people recognize that, gosh, that's a deal. That's $25,000 vehicle that can give me 250 miles range, and give me 100-mile range. This is an amazing offering. I maybe need a bigger vehicle for the weekends or for soccer practice, which is fun to the kids on soccer practice. But on a regular commute, just having one person or two people, using the right size of transportation is going to make the world a better place over time.
Absolutely. We're going to open up the floor for questions. Can we do that? In the back there, I think we can. Yep, we're getting thumbs up. We're going to have a few minutes for questions in a second, but I want to close out, gents, by asking you the one final question. When we have big vehicles with big battery packs, we need to recharge them quickly on the road. That means we need massive, powerful superchargers and hyper mega chargers, or I can't remember Electrify America's latest naming convention. We need big infrastructure to charge big vehicles. Every one of the vehicles here today can charge incredibly quickly, not because they have massive high power charging capabilities, but because they are so efficient. Let's talk one sentence each about the impact that will have on the electrical grid.
We're fighting the battle for Tesla superchargers for all, so that's a unique scenario, but the more efficient the vehicle, the quicker it's going to charge, the easier it is to go on longer road trips. So focus on efficiency, focus on right sizing, and you can charge in 20 minutes instead of 3 hours.
Yeah, I agree. Focus on efficiency, being lightweight. Yep.
I just love that, most of our customers, you go home at the end of the day, you plug it into a standard wall outlet, and you wake up fully charged every morning, and it's that easy. And most of our customers hardly ever have to even use a public charging station. You just go home, plug it in, wake up, and off you go.
Level 2 chargers are ubiquitous. A lot of the cars right now are putting in super fast chargers. If you don't need to charge at that speed because you only got a small battery, you don't have to bear the cost of fast charging. Now, forget the fact that that charger is so expensive. If you're trying to push several hundred amps quickly into a vehicle, you have to upsize everything in your vehicle to take those several hundred amps in. So now you're carrying around something that if you really didn't need to go that fast because your battery's not that big, why would you do it? Literally in 2 hours if you're fully charged. You sit down on a super fast charger or a level 2 charger, and in a half hour, go eat lunch, go spend an hour at lunch, you literally have enough to drive another 3/4 of a day. So that's my point.
Fantastic. Thanks very much to the panel. Let's open it up to the floor. I think I've probably got time for maybe 4 or 5 questions. So if someone's at the mic, take it away.
The MX-30, the Mazda MX-30 has a range of 100 miles, so it seems like it should fit that description, but it doesn't because it costs. Is the problem that it costs $3,000, or your channel gave it a bad review? Is it because it's so expensive for the range, or is it just bad?
I don't know. There we go. The MX-30 was a special case, right? It's a compliance car. It was built very, very quickly. It was built with an older battery pack in terms of capacity. And what the problem is the cost, right? For what you're getting, it's not priced right. And I think this is something we've talked about here with the panel. Pricing a vehicle right is key. I don't know if you have any thoughts to add.
If you can focus on efficiency, then you can also lower the bill of materials. The most expensive thing in all of our vehicles is the battery pack. So the more you treat those electrons as precious, the smaller you can make that battery pack. And you know, we've seen these big vehicles. I don't know what it would cost to replace your battery pack in your Ford, but it's not going to be cheap. You know, $30,000-$40,000 for a battery pack versus, you know, $2,000 to $5,000 for a battery pack. So it's a much different world when you really focus on using electronics. It's precious.
So if the Mazda was discounted to be, say, $15,000, would it be better, or it's still bad?
I mean, yes. Right, you have to right price the vehicle, and that vehicle was not right priced. Let's push towards to the next question. So you have time for another 4 questions.
So I know that there's a lot of back and forth between ternary battery chemistry, which has a higher density, and lithium iron phosphate, which has more cycles. With the energy efficiency you're able to gain from your smaller vehicles and your, you know, all the efficiencies inherent in it, do you then look at this choice between the cells of this enables us to get like an LFP chemistry, or do you go for the ternary cells that could let you get even denser and more efficient?
Yeah, so you did say the LFP is an energy battery and NMC is a power battery. So if you need ludicrous mode, you got to get to the power battery. The lithium iron phosphate is a much less expensive solution, and if you really can figure out how to be really efficient with your energy, you can go to LFP. It can be the low-cost answer when you introduce a car. Our first introductions, we pick chemistry that fits what we have, and we will introduce different chemistries, I'm sure, later, and it will be part of how the vehicles get configured. But if you got to have a lot of power, if your powertrain needs a lot of power, you're probably going to go expensive power. If you don't, and you can squeeze out a lot of energy, then we go with the lithium iron phosphate. But you make a great point. Cycle life is higher in lithium iron phosphate. Cycle life is lower in NMC. So if you're buying a vehicle for the power, you get less time out of it. It's like anything. Race cars don't last a long time. A lot of power, you rebuild them after every race, right? A road car that you want longevity on is a different story.
It's kind of like right-sizing your transportation too. Battery technologies fit different needs. I developed a sulfur carbon battery that was 1,700 watt-hours per kilogram, which is 10 times what we have today, but it costs $6,000 per kilowatt hour. So there's battery technologies that will hopefully come out over the next 10 years that we can purposefully, you know, put in different vehicles, and hopefully we'll see a lot of different kinds of chemistries over the next 5 to 10 years that are applicable to us.
So I think we've got time for 2 more questions. So I'm sorry to everyone else who's queuing up, but let's take the 2 final questions.
Do you think we'd be in a better place efficiency-wise if the U.S. had regulations on safety of pedestrians and cyclists in vehicle impacts? You know, it would probably rule out the front of the car being shaped like a brick.
Yes, yes. And yes, I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else to that.
Let's do that.
Look, I mean, the biggest problem with American vehicle design is that American vehicles are designed to be safe for the people inside the vehicles. And we've reached this arms race where company A makes a big SUV and then company B has to make a big SUV because they want to have the same interior dimensions. And then company C makes a big SUV that's safer because it's got a bigger crumple zone or whatever. We've talked all weekend about how electric drivetrains can make different vehicles possible. Canoe is a great example of a different package. Aptera is a great example of a different package. In fact, every company here is an example of a different package. And until we start working and talking to our Congress critters about the needs to stop making vehicles look like they're going to go on a safari and mow down cows, we are going to be playing this game for a long time.
Yes.
Final question.
So PEVs have a big part to play in the whole electric transition and efficiency transition. But public transportation plays a huge part of that. Do you find that any of your technologies can meet that kind of economies of scale and design where, you know, you make an Aptera that's the size of a bus or something? Do you find that anything can translate to those larger sizes to make more efficient public transportation as a whole?
Well, I take that as a question just to Aptera, but I think you know, anything can be made more aerodynamic, lighter weight, more efficient, possibly solar powered. But I would say for public transportation, I think we've all talked about it, making transportation shareable and easy to access is really a goal for all of us. You know, having apps that you could reserve any of our vehicles when not in use to use for other purposes makes mobility more flexible. And you know, everything from scooters all the way up to buses should be readily available to get people around. It'll make the world a more efficient place, and I think we all play a part.
I think there's another piece to this, and it's an energy story. Let me, really quick. The whole idea about carrying stored energy in a vehicle so you can use it, that's one thing. There's a whole bunch of hybrids that are out there. If you put a hydrogen fuel cell on the vehicle, if you have great solar panels like Aptera to feed different times, it allows you more things. There are some technologies that are coming up where energy is in the form of an aluminum disc. There are energies that are going to be put in the vehicle for range extensions that just haven't been touched yet. And they will fold into the next generations, and all of this will go away. I mean, it will really be different. We tell a story about range anxiety, right? You start using a vehicle, and after about 2 weeks, your range anxiety is gone because that's how you use your electric vehicle. And what happens is range anxiety falls the other way. Because after 2 weeks of every morning getting in your car with a full charge, you get into a gasoline vehicle and it's got a quarter of a tank, and you start getting scared. How far can I go? Where's the next gas station?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a shift in range anxiety that's coming. We have 200 vehicles in the market, all right? I'm telling you right now, we'll keep selling, and we see it and hear it. And the customers that have been in a vehicle literally for more than 2 weeks are telling us these stories. So if you own one, you probably are experiencing the same thing.
Thank you very much to our panel, Kevin, John, and
yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for watching and taking part, and we'll see you later on in the show.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, everyone. That's why.
Yeah. There she goes. Yes. And away we go. Okay, so this line, okay, so here's Chris. He's the CEO, yeah. Chris Anthony. And he's about as humble and modest as they come, as, in my opinion. And yeah, this is like just the coolest thing ever. There he is. This is Oliver. He is, hi, say hi, Oliver. How old are you? 13. Oliver's 13, and it's a family thing. His dad works for Aptera, so he works for Aptera, helping out. That's right. He's like, yeah. But this booth, like all the other ones that you walk by are just, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty. And then this line is going around the corner, and it's just to sit in this. Just to sit in it. Goes around the corner. Like, this is insane. Oh yeah, and then there's Trevor and Ash right there.
There she is.
Hi guys, gals. Hello. What do you think? think? Amazing. And there's no front.
It's the range.
It's a, yeah.
60 kilometers. It's just like 2 charges between Canada and Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I just want to ride it. I feel like I could, sorry. I feel like I could like slide down the front.
Steering is on the left side. Standard US vehicle. I think actually, here's more solar here, yeah.
Hold on.
You've been doing push-ups on it.
I don't want to lift it. I bet I probably couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
2,000 pounds.
You've been doing her push-ups.
I have been doing my push-ups. Hi, chat.
I'm never gonna catch up on this.
Oh, I'm getting old. I'm getting old. Chat, I'm getting old. I'm old. Okay, maybe I'm not old. I'm just, my bones are hurting. They're deteriorating quickly. Okay, now I have a face print. I'm sorry, I did that. Does somebody have a towel, like a cloth?
Red Bull time.
Red Bull time. Thank you, I'm so sorry. I got face grease on it. It's so just such a cool shot with you in the car. It's amazing. It's like we're on Mars, but not, yeah, it's so cool.
So with what
That Rivian is nice. There's answers to Joe. Oh, that's good. Check out his shirt. This is Dr. Know-It-All. There he is. This is Answers with Joe, Joe Scott. Dr. Know-It-All. You like it? No, I'm just kidding. Just say, mer, pass. The Rivian. Okay, we're going back. My favorite booth is Aptera. There you are.
Slightly different stuff.
Hi.
Excuse me, I'm being in the way.
I like it. Okay. I like it. Oh, look at the dogs. Puppy cam. We have a puppy cam. Puppy cam. Look at the dogs. Puppy cam. Look at the puppy. Oh, the puppy. Oh, the nose. Hi. Oh. Okay, so this is Chris Anthony right here. He is the CEO of Aptera Motors. He is the man with the plan. Woohoo! I love that excitement. We caught that on camera. That was raw. I love it.
Is this thing taking video footage?
It's live. We're live.
Oh, fresh.
On YouTube. Whoop, whoop. That was the most genuine scream. He's tall and he fits. Yeah, that's awesome. Literally, people are just surrounding.
It's comfy, it's cozy. I was so much headroom. The seat was kind of reclined. I didn't want to take time to actually put it forward, but the steering wheel has a nice, like, soft touch to it. It's almost like a
not velvet,
but like a soft. Anyway.
Yeah, no. We like that. We like these descriptions, right, chat?
But the screen is nice and sleek. It's not sticking out too far. See the screen right behind the wheel. The whole interior feels like how to describe it? I mean, yes, it's like an aircraft, but it's like a really like all of this stuff.
Nice tactile.
It's very aesthetic.
How does it feel sitting in it? Do you feel like stable or?
It's like I want to go 1,000 miles.
Oh my
1,000 miles in this thing. I want to go as far as I can.
That's so cool. Also, right here, this is Daniel. He is the heating and cooling, so HVAC and cooling. Oh wait, yeah, engineer. He's the like the main engineer for that. So he was giving me some information earlier on how the underbody. It literally looks like a fish. The underbody, it keeps it cool because the air goes underneath it, and it helps keep everything cool. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, now I get to see the front.
I'm hoping in 3 years.
Back to the Rivian, everybody. You know that I love this car. If it weren't $140,000. It's just so sexy. I'm going to show you. So much room in here. Very, very spacious. And then Ben let me lay down across the back. Here, I'll show you the picture. I'm gonna take a picture with it. Ready? There we go. Do you mind? Wow, that's really nice. Thanks. Let's see. Can we get
which angle you want over here?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. K-Stream. Let's see.
One.
Thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. What's your name again?
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. Jessica. Nice to meet you. Good handshake. Legit. It's so sexy. Oh my gosh, I'm just noticing certain things, y'all. So, for example, in the headlight, it says Rivian right here. Like, that's sweet. Can I see the headlights when they're on?
Yeah, you can do that.
I want to see it. I want to see how mean it looks if you have charge. Oh yeah. He's gonna turn headlights on. Here goes. What is the need to move for?
At that point, you drive an electric vehicle.
I what?
Do you drive an electric vehicle?
I wish.
Okay.
Not yet.
You know what a level 2 charger is, right?
Yeah. I have a Hyundai Kona, but it's not electric. Yeah.
But you know what a level 2 charger is, right?
Yeah.
So imagine pulling in and...
Oh my God, that's so cool. Sorry. I asked him to turn the headlights on. Oh, everyone in the chat, are you going nuts over this?
To the hotel or the restaurant, there's a car there. You don't know if or when they're coming back anytime soon.
Yeah.
So back in the day, we used to use a post-it note, like, I'll be back in 30, or here's my number. Oh. But I didn't like giving out my personal information.
Oh my God, that's so smart.
Totally anonymous. If you just scanned it, it would say, hey, I'd like to charge, when do you anticipate being back?
Yeah.
Send an anonymous message to the recipient.
Yeah.
And they just said, I'll be back in 30.
Oh my God, that's so
here's
smart.
A custom message.
Yeah.
It's totally anonymous.
That's really smart.
Can you take a sticker?
May I?
Shot?
Yeah, I would love that. Thanks.
And there's
I'm gonna take a
button on there.
Yeah.
If you have any recommendations, just let us know.
Oh my God, it looks so mean. Thank you. Dude, that is lit. Like literally lit. Rawr. Thank you. That is so sexy looking. Wow. And the blue, oh, I freaking love the blue. I remember pricing one of these out like years ago. Thank you for showing that to me. I love the dual tow hooks too for if you get stuck. All-terrain tires. Do you put anything in your pass-through typically?
Golf clubs.
Golf clubs, nice. They fit in there?
Yeah.
What?
Fit 2 sets, yeah.
That's amazing.
Or I do,
He's got, there's the pass-through section, everybody. Or what?
It's called the gear tunnel.
Gear tunnel.
Yeah. I also we have a stand-up paddleboard. That's inflatable and so it breaks down.
Oh my God, it's so sexy. Wow. Dreamy. And like I said, he did take I had him take a picture of me. I was laying, at an angle. I love this car so much. It is so sexy. I love the yellow and the blue accents as well. And then, these for tying stuff down. So cool. Okay, y'all want to see Fisker? Yeah, how cute. That is a mean looking machine right there. All right, let's go in the back.
Really? We're just sorry. I'm like, I don't know where
wow, what's going on here? Is this like a?
You guys start handing out.
Oh, that's the sunroof. Hi, everybody. Come on in. It's a video still shot.
There we go. Video live.
Videos. Where's Ash? Ash.
Who's that?
Who's that? Hi, everybody. Okay, so today's date is September 11th. Oh, sad day, but what a great way to celebrate. And we are all here at Fully Charged Live 2022 in San Diego. And it was super fun. And it's just wrapping down, so I just wanted to get a picture of all of us. And yeah.
Go eat and drink.
He's so funny.
Pay no attention to the guy walking in front of us.
Do you want EVs?
Woo! Woo woo!
So we'll be back next year and it will be much bigger.
Yeah. I think that answered it. Yes, sir.
Hey there. Can you hear me? Okay. What can we do to get maybe more involved, like volunteering at future shows, things like that? Because it takes a lot of people to run this.
Yeah, good point. What can we do?
Can I say one thing here? Sorry, because Dan's got a sensible answer. Tell your friends whether or not they have a backpack. But the point here is that fully, like the way we operate and the kind of the attitude we have, like we're just people trying to do our best to make good things happen, right? There's all these interesting things, we want to encourage it. It's not hyper-promotional, it's not hyper-competitive. We're a family and we want you to be part of our family, right? And it's quite hard to explain that to someone until they've been in the room with us, until they've seen how it works. And so if you really want to help, tell people there's these crazy English people, right, who just want to be friends with everybody and they want good things to happen and they want us all to join their team, and bring them along next year. If you've got skeptical friends, if you've got friends who are like just really annoying because they completely don't believe that anyone is even going to buy a Lightning, right? I'm sure you've all met one.
Yes.
Just bring them along, right? So if you really want to help, like expand the team and try, tell them that you're not going to get this until you're in the room. So come into the room and see what it's like.
Woo! Yes. Oh, girl.
I would like a masseuse.
Do you want a masseuse? Is there any volunteer masseuse?
Jack would like a masseuse.
But it's a very good question as well on a practical level, and we will. If people, would anyone be willing to meet and greet people when they come in and help with that bit? I mean, it's if you would.
It's a tough job,
we would. Well, we would love that help. So I'm sure we can facilitate that. It's fantastic.
You'll volunteer everybody.
Yesterday outside the show, I was thinking, great, but I was thinking this show is going to grow like the one has done in the UK. So we might need a bit more of that type of help just to get people through the door in the first day as well. So yeah, I'll bear that in mind. I'll try and make that happen.
But I think it's also kind of facilitating, because what I've loved is all the stands here that are essentially educational. They're about explaining things like the stand outside about come and ask an EV driver about driving an EV. It's such a good idea. That's all volunteers, people doing that. And I think if we can facilitate that, as in, supply the space for it to happen within what we're doing, it's fantastic. Sorry, Ricky, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say the night before, there's always kind of a mad dash to sort things out. If you have a little bit of time, there's
there's
work for you.
There's always something to be done, that's for sure, yeah.
They have to load in.
How are we doing? Oh, no, we're right, yeah. Next question, please.
Hi, my name is Michael. My dad is from Blackpool, so I'm glad to be around some fellow Brits, and I'm wearing my Doctor Who shirt.
Aha! Ocean, did you hear that?
My question is, and Robert, I've been watching you since I was about hip high on Junkyard Wars. So I'm very fantastically proud that you've put this on and started this whole thing. So my question is for all of you, what has been, in your time covering products environmentally, that has been a product that has blown you away or given you that energy, the hopefulness?
Yeah, Jack, please.
I think it's a three-way tie between Aptera, Sonoscion and Lightyear for me, but actually there's a common thread between all those vehicles, and it's efficiency. A thing that I'm really excited about is there appears to be a real mindset change going on in the automotive industry at long last, where actually we're not just going to take the old shape of cars from the old petrol days and shove some batteries in them. We're going to start with a clean piece of paper and really ask the question of what do we need, what do we not need, and what would be better than what we had before. And a key part of that is increased efficiency. If we want cheaper electric cars, make them more efficient, then they can have smaller batteries. If we want to go further in our electric cars, make them more efficient, because then you get more range out of the battery that you've got. It's kind of the magic key to making all aspects of EVs better, and the Aptera is the poster child for that movement. So my hope is that the BMWs, the Audis, are looking at the Aptera and the Lightyears and going, oh, that's how it's done. So these guys are trailblazers, and again, we're just delighted to have them here this weekend.
Nice.
There's way too many episodes to choose from. Obviously my favourite is Heat Pumps, before Helen says that. But I would say what's interesting to me is that whether it's going to China and seeing Shenzhen swap out 16,000 combustion engine buses for 16,000 electric ones, or the episode Jack did in Norway, we show how far ahead Norway is. I think that's all really, really good, and that helps people understand that it's possible. And I think that's what the Fully Charged show is about.
That's my favourite
thing I'm really excited about, and I think for California this could be good, is all the vehicle to grid stuff. Yeah. I think that is going to be absolutely massive, whether it's vehicles or other things. I think that is just going to unlock so many different opportunities and actually make us have a more resilient, flexible grid.
For me, it's like the invisible becoming the visible, right? So my grandfather was a mechanical engineer, one of the first TV electricians in the UK, and the entire aim of that generation was to make electricity invisible, right? That you just plugged a thing into a wall and you never had to think about it. And so we've had decades of electricity basically being invisible. And the thing that I'm most excited about now is that things like, I went up the biggest wind turbine in the world or something a couple of months ago. Things like that, and it's not just that it exists, it's that people care about it. Like electricity is becoming visible again. And that trend, because it's only when it becomes visible that you can think about it, right? We're not going to hide it away, we're going to say this is a critical part of our infrastructure, especially now with problems in the world, we can see that. Let's look at it, right? And we get to think about it. So those technologies that are making electricity visible, I think those are the game changers.
In a similar vein, I think for me it's batteries and energy storage. I think that's this is the decade of the battery. If we could find new ways, more cost-effective ways to store energy without lithium or other rare earth metals, that kind of stuff just goes a long way to getting us there. We've done episodes on the sand battery and all sorts of different approaches to the same problem. From different perspectives, different material makeup, and what I keep thinking, what gets me so excited to the gentleman's question, is when I graduated from college, at our career fairs we had ExxonMobil and Texaco and Chevron. BP. Those were the big jobs. I was a mechanical engineer as well. Those were the big jobs that we were looking at. Today, in 2022, people graduating from college are going to work in vastly different, much cleaner industries. And that's all a function of all this progress that we've made, and I think that's one of the things I just love the most.
The only thing I want to add to that is that an episode that I honestly feel very guilty and forgotten about in a way was one I made very early on, which was a kind of pivotal episode that really changed the footing that Fully Charged was on, was when I went to Oslo with Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, who is here somewhere, and her enormous Ford is back there. And together we were asked by Tesla to bring a car that was stored in Oslo, and they wanted it in London, and they needed someone to drive it there, and they asked us if we'd do it, and we went, well, okay, yes. And this was when the Model S was still very rare. I mean, there were a few in the UK, there was a load of them in Oslo. I'd never been in one before, and we went up to Oslo and we got in this Model S, and we drove from Oslo to London with zero stress, zero problems with range. It cost us, and the great thing about it was the one time I've done a sort of a clickbait title, which I wasn't very good at, was just the total fuel cost for us was €5, which we had to pay a hotel to use their destination charger, which we didn't need to do, which was really annoying. So we could have done it for no euros. It was free supercharging at the time. But it was a remarkable journey. It was a remarkable experience for me with Nikki, because she's an extraordinary woman with an amazing history. So I learned a lot about her as well as the car. But it was a brilliant journey to do, and it became a very popular episode. And it was a moment where where really early on in the electric vehicle experience in Europe anyway, we travelled a long way. I mean, and we also went through a Danish town that is called Middelfart. And once you do that, and you come from the UK and you go into a town called Middelfart, that was the highlight of the journey. It just doesn't get
Middelfart, love it.
Yeah, that was my pivotal moment.
You reminded me that in my backpack, Nikki actually gave us some t-shirts.
Woo!
To give away, only a handful, but if someone wants to come forward and see if they want one afterwards, please do so. And I would just say, just quickly, Transport Evolved is a great channel. They've been super helpful over many years, but we've actually started working with, Ricky's got his own channel, Two Da Vinci, which is fantastic. We're working with Ben Sullins, Sandy Monroe, too many to mention actually, and actually last night we had a dinner with all of the fellow YouTubers, which was quite surreal I think, but actually together they're helping us supercharge these shows in North America. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you to those guys.
Yeah. I think we've got time for, because you're there, one last question.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see all of this and how we're electrifying everything.
Can you get a bit nearer? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see how we're electrifying everything, things that seemed impossible. But there's some things that are still really difficult to electrify. So do you think there's any role for hydrogen or other low carbon technologies, or do you think those are just all hogwash?
It's a great question. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I think we're very fascinated by the energy mix, and the two that we don't cover so much, but come up all the time beyond electrification are nuclear and hydrogen. And obviously, every country's nuclear fleet is different. There's a very learned guy in the UK called Michael Liebreich, who we kind of align with his philosophy. Really, keep your nuclear fleet going. If you're serious about climate change, getting rid of it is probably a mistake. Although we're not, as environmentalists, we're not probably fans of it per se. You've got to be practical. I think. How quickly can we tackle this problem? And it'll be interesting to see with Moltex and other nuclear technologies what comes along. In terms of hydrogen. Really important, and we don't dislike the molecule, but I think some people, that'll be stupid, right? But some people have used hydrogen as a bit of a way to try and prolong and extend the hydrocarbons and combustion business, and that is a slight concern. So we just don't think it's practical for cars or homes, for example, but there's a ton of other uses, and one of the things I worry about with the hydrogen lobby is they've made such a big deal about hydrogen cars and hydrogen for homes that they're potentially making themselves seem, I don't know, less than truthful or unreliable, but there's loads of good uses for hydrogen, right? Loads. I think green hydrogen could be fantastic. It could fill in around the edges of some of these problems that we've got.
I agree. Yes, I mean, I think it is difficult because theoretically, carbon capture and storage, it's a good idea. Let's take the carbon out of the atmosphere and store it safely. That's really good. No one's doing it. No one has done it, and it doesn't sound like anyone ever will. And it falls into that other category. How do we solve that? How do we continue to burn the hydrocarbons? Yeah. Oh, let's do carbon capture and storage.
So on carbon capture, why don't we just stop putting the milk in the tea rather than trying to get it out again? Yes. I mean, that's our kind of philosophy. Is that too British a reference? But,
you could say creamer in coffee.
Can I add the serious science thing here, which is that in order to meet the Paris climate goals, at the point where we're at now, there is no way to do it without some carbon capture and storage, physically. However, the priority is to get rid of the fossil fuels, because if you do not do that, we're all sunk anyway. Yeah. So, as you say, no one's managed to scale it up. There's all kinds of crazy schemes that I'm an ocean scientist, and a lot of them involve the ocean, and no one has come up with one that works and doesn't damage things, and you can prove it works, and that's the problem. So there's a whole other discussion there, but it's really annoying because it would help us if we could make it quicker, but it cannot be the priority because it's not to get out a jail-free card. It's only ever an addition to getting rid of fossil fuels.
I think we're going to have to wind it up there, Rich. I mean, you've all been phenomenally tolerant, patient, loving, wonderful, and we really appreciate that you came along to the show. I feel our first American show, even though it's kind of 1.1.
1.1.
Can we maybe just, if we get our team up, we haven't got our whole team here in the US, but we've had some fantastic team members from Fully Charged come over. Chelsea. Oh, we've got one more question. Is it a good one?
Small question.
Not so much a question, but as a local San Diegan, just how amazing it has been to have Fully Charged live here in San Diego. So I wanted to say thank you.
Woo! Yes.
We'll get the team up.
We give them a round of applause because they've done so much hard work over the last few days.
Woo!
This round of applause. Not
Yes!
they don't deserve it.
Yes! Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Let's get them on live, shall we?
I think could someone take a photo? We haven't got
You're on YouTube live.
through, and someone maybe send us some photos. That would be great.
You're live on YouTube.
Oh, we're live on YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. This is Fully Charged Live, everybody. This is the team. There they are. Awesome. Good job. Great work, everybody.